Now, what do you change up?
I mean, you could look for a little bit more early game comp, right? They won the early game, but they didn't really have an early game composition, I would say so, right?
Okay.
The Isis was banned away. Raijin really struggled early.
Yep.
They were just kind of win off of that solo lane kill is what they were able to kind of swing a lot of it for, because we saw Scary D rotate, also dominate the Amaterasu, always very good in lane. So I honestly think you just go full early game.
Raijin Circuit, was that a good combo to start off? Because they feel like they lost pressure in mid lane immediately.
They have a lot of kill potential though. Like, they was fine later on, but they do lose pressure. Something they need a little bit more to focus more on the early game, in my opinion, because coming into late game, they just don't have the experience that Denial does.
Well, Bellona was banned last game. Loki wasn't. Ymir wasn't even involved, as well as Bellona. Well,
She was banned.
she could kill a fire giant in one shot. We saw that at Worlds, and
She's
Benji
OP,
likes
man.
that god. We'll find out as we go into picks and bans of game 2. Randozos will be first pick. Denial will be the counter pick option.
Sides have switched up here. Randozos, once again, going to be banning Mace's Isis away. Denial Esports, they're going to first pick Kali, and they're also going to first ban it. So you can see where their mindset is right now for the tier list.
They believe Kali is very, very strong.
They believe Kali is the best god in the
Quite
game, and there's a
clearly.
lot of people who hold that same sentiment.
Isis, Kepri, Ao Kwang available. Ao Kwang's going to get through. Instead, they're going to take away PolarBearMike.
I like that. I like that. I think PolarBearMike, this is his most comfortable god. He has other good gods, but this is just the one that I find him most effective on. Bellona going to be first picked for Scary D, and Scary D, once again, a very lane-controlling god. We'll have to see how that plays out, but he does leave himself open to some counter
But
picks.
you can't give Benji Bellona as well. Benji's
true.
Bellona at Worlds was fantastic when he got to play
Him
it.
and his Jing as well. Ooh.
Vetium, though, he'll get his Ho-Yi this game, and what will they look to pick up alongside it? All the mages pretty much on the table apart from the Isis.
It's not for me that Vetium got his Ho-Yi. It's that Meerkat is now in a losing matchup almost, because Ho-Yi essentially wins every matchup in the 1v1 on Hunters because of the Hunter's Mark. It's just so effective. Even when you're behind, you can box evenly. Mace going to pick up his Janus once
I
again.
can see Ao Kwang here as well for Denial Esports potentially if they want to.
Thor. They're going early.
I mean, they could go for it, but they're going to go with Thor. They're going to go early. You
They're
said
going
that.
early.
They should be looking
I like
for that
it.
one. And with the Janus taken away, will we see the Raijin again?
You can look for your Hunters as well, because otherwise Denial could just ban away all your Hunter options that Vetium knows he could potentially have a rough time in lane. And honestly, that Chronos could be going to do. I don't know if it is, but it is a possibility. I don't really see Scary D on that. They also have Bellona, so.
Kumbhakarna once again coming out from Shadowq. He had a pretty good game in the last game. I'm not sure if he ended up down at the end, but he was 007 towards the last few minutes of that game, so the Bond reference is definitely there.
Oh, man.
And for Kumbhakarna to come into play over the likes of Geb is quite surprising.
We haven't seen too much of Geb. I mean, Geb's always good, but he's always good if you can get to the late game, but he suffers so hard early, can't really outpush. Guan Yu going to be banned away by Denial Esports, so expecting that PolarBearMike could be looking for that Guan Yu support, or Bellona could be going a different direction. Amaterasu banned away from Benji. I do like the Sobek ban away from PolarBearMike. That's something also I think could be very good against Ho-Yi.
Sobek's wise against the Guan Yu, bit surprising. I think it's just the sustain they're worried about there, but Hombat's taken away from
I feel like a Finra.
Masked as well. So
just like thinking about Mask and his god pool, I feel like Finra is going to come into play, just because that's a god he's very comfortable on.
They don't have to pick that right now. They could look for the solo lane. It doesn't really matter because Denial just have those two to lock in. They're going to pick up Vamana for the solo lane.
Very good against Bellona as well. Can knock out the bludgeon. Also very strong wave clear early on.
And surprising how a little bit of movement speed and a little bit more range on the big baby form allows Vamana to be highly considered as a pick. And Poseidon going to be locked in for a Duro here.
So that's going to be a Chronos Hunter, more than likely. And Randozos is just looking for PolarBearMike's support to match up against the Ho-Yi Kumbhakarna. And it's going to be Ymir. So we haven't seen too much Ymir, especially in North America. We do see Iraffer and some other European support players bringing up from time to time Badja as well. But in North America, it's not played too often. And that's honestly one of the biggest strengths that Randozos have picking this up, is that Denial Esports more than likely aren't super comfortable playing with Ymir. It doesn't matter, even if you've played against it before. If you haven't played against it in months, it is a very big surprise, especially with how much pressure Ymir could put out in lane. Just Glacial Strike can clear a wave alone.
And the thing is, with the Ymir here, the wall is what's going to be really important. That wall is going to be able to stop Vamana and Kumbhakarna from getting into the action. It can sometimes prevent Janus from escaping with portals as well, which can also help. So that's where the utility is going to be with Ymir this game, is watch out for the walls, because you can just keep Vamana out of a team fight completely in that big baby form.
Thanatos, last picked for Masked.
Very aggressive.
Very good, most notably against both Chronos and Ymir. Chronos, when he starts his rewind, if he's in that kill range, he's going to be standing still. Mask can guarantee the ult if he's already in the air. Same with Ymir. When he starts charging his ult, he's going to be locked in place, and if Denial can find the burst to get him under that execute threshold, Mask, it's a free kill for him.
Invade, and Shadow's immediately going to, nope, peace, I'm out. He will have throwback even if he got in trouble anyway. He could have just wandered away. So it would have been very difficult for Randozos to catch him. The grouping does not work out. And you even saw Denial then. They were looking potentially coming in to support the rest of the roster from the solo. And
small thing to note is PolarBearMike, the second he saw Shadowq turn around to look at the team, he immediately walked back.
Yep.
Because he knew that no matter what they did, they would not be able to lock down Shadowq.
Even with Blink Freeze, he wasn't going to catch him.
And that's the thing, he could have even walled, and it still, Shadowq would have got away. So good presence of mind by PolarBearMike. That's just kind of one of those small things where it's like, he knows that Shadowq has options to get away. There's no point in aggressing. Give myself a couple seconds to walk away.
So build-wise in the jungle between the two, Skeeledon has gone for a power potion start here on his Thor, as well as Bumba's Mask. Meanwhile, Bumba's Mask and Boots one, as well as Sanctuary. He's chosen Sanctuary over the Purification. Why do you feel that's a better choice?
It's interesting, right? Because there is the Thor stun. There's a lot of CC over on Randozos with the Ymir as well, but it's the Kraken, right? You don't want to get caught in a bad spot because Mask doesn't have a jump. He has movement speed, but he's also spends health to use his abilities, so very easily he could get caught in an awkward spot. I mean, where Kraken just comes out without anything.
One person that brings to mind as well is Rafa's Thanatos. When he used to play that in the jungle, he used to always go for the Sanctuary.
And the support
and then when he ulted, he'd ult to engage a team fight and then ages to bait things out. But now with Sanctuary,
Pom-pom strategy.
He could potentially look to do it here as well.
That was the pom-pom strategy with Thor. Just ult to initiate, bait everyone on you, pop the Sanctuary.
Now, one thing to note at the beginning of this game, that you saw Skeeledon and Adoro push up, but twice now Macetodaface found Portal Unstable Vortex combo on to Adoro in the mid lane.
No health potion, half health. That early, that's really rough. That opens up a lot of kill potential, especially for Mast here. I mean, that's the one thing about Thanatos, right? It's all about the early aggression. Also a very good counter to Thor. You know, once Berserker's Barrage comes out, you can hit him with the silence. Now he's stuck. That's going to be a lot less damage.
Good pressure on the left side.
Honestly, Death Scythe can swing for a fourth of a mage's health at level 1. That's how powerful that ability is.
Well, how the wave should really work out here for the most part is Ymir and Chronos definitely have the push power up against Kumbha and Ho-Yi early on. Mid lane, Poseidon and Thor should have the advantage there, but if they fall behind in terms of taking poke, it allows the Thanatos and Janus to get in control, and that's what's happening.
You know what I'm a little bit surprised about is actually Vetium spending a lot of mana and his ability cooldown to try and poke Chronos, who not only has potions, but also has Accelerate, where he has health regen in his kit. He's not going to be running out of mana as well. There's a key in Accelerate where basically your abilities are going to cost no mana.
Mike's come mid quickly, beats freeze, so Blink Freeze comes out.
I don't like this. I don't like this. That is a ranked play from PolarBearMike. You blink and you miss, you stand still like, oh, you got me, man. He took extra unneeded poke, and honestly, Mast even missed his Death Slice because he thought PolarBearMike was going to walk out.
Right inside, Benji dueling off against Scary D. Scary D having a bit of a better time of it. It's Bellona early game, obviously, but that can turn around once Vamana hits about level 7. Because of the full wave clear advantage.
He has 2 abilities that could clear the wave in one shot. Can we highlight Vamana? Actually, I want to see which one he's leveling up. Is it Armored Umbrella or the Umbrella Ring?
It's probably Umbrella Ring there. I like that knock up there to try and cancel out the bludgeon from Bellona, but Scary D.
He has his
punishing him. Left hand side, Gank comes out from Mask, looking for PolarBearMike. Mike turns some damage around, but he will fall down for first blood to Masked, making that level 5 pay off early.
And quick first blood from Denial. They have the early game comp now, basically solely around this Thanatos, and Masked having that first blood. You can expect him to take a couple visits into the jungle of Randozos. Maybe not this time around as the red buff is just spawning, but I do expect Masked with this first blood to continue the aggression. This is what he's known for. He likes to fight, and he likes to be as aggressive as possible. Speaking of aggression, Meerkat just barely jukes the ricochet.
Vetium's very, very happy to fight this, choosing that over aggression. Skeeledon going to go up in his ult. Mace should have heard that one though, and Mace realizes in danger. Through space and time fight off, jumps through his second pole. Thor actually going to go on Mast and immediately disengage.
That was a really good play, right? So immediately Mask backs off the second here. Skeeledon.
Oh, Shadow!
It's going to be Shadowq knocking up one player. PolarBearMike only level 4. Fantastic wall. Probably kept him alive.
Well, that's not going to keep Shadowq alive. He will go into sleepy time. Sleepy time won't last too long. Scary D or Skeeledon will get credit in the end. And Denial's re-aggression did not work out well for them.
Nice turnaround. I mean, Shadowq 0 deaths last game. finds his first death in the set.
Here's the big issue with Kumbhakarna. Kumbhakarna is a fantastic setup god. The problem is that you need a mage or you need a jungler that's able to capitalize on that ultimate immediately. They weren't in a position to do that. And Janus, what's he going to do? Unstable Vortex?
Blinked
It's not
in
as
by
much
Mike
damage
in
as
the
you want as a
midline.
Kraken.
Whew. I mean, in the meantime, you saw Mask, right?
Mm-hmm.
Death Scythe, half of Ymir's health. It's only a 2-level difference. I mean, Mask right now doesn't even have Warrior Tab I finished, hasn't backed yet. That's what also something we didn't talk about is kind of how fast that the clear of Thanatos is. On top of that, just how much sustain he has in his kit. He doesn't even have Death's Toll. It's simply the fact that Bumba's Mask is going to be able to keep his mana up and all of his abilities will increase his health. Well, Death Scythe specifically, and then last hitting the creeps.
Once he kills things as well with the Bombers, it will combine nicely for it. PolarBearMike, though, having a bit of a rough time right now. Used Blink twice, didn't find the freezes he wanted to, got picked off for the first blood, but luckily the wall turned it around after Shadowq came in to allow the team to collapse onto Shadowq, who are aggressed.
He's not
a little
that
bit
far
too far
behind Shadowq, thankfully. Both of them
It's the
sitting
league that
close to
Thanatos
about
got, though, is the key.
40,000.
Thanatos got a little bit of an advantage because of that.
And he's got Warrior Tab I finished. He's starting on the Jotun's Wrath, but he only got tier 1, so Thor's still going to be able to battle with him equally for the most part. And honestly, Skeeledon, 7 or 1 level above Mask is kind of the reverse that we saw from last game, where last game it was Skeeledon ganking a lot and Mask finding an experience lead. Now it's Mask ganking a lot, Skeeledon finding a very small experience lead.
Nice side from Mask. He just telegraphed, he knew for 100% that Adora was not going to move from that position.
It only boots 2 as well, so Adora a little bit slower, a lot easier to
Mike.
read that Skeeledon
Going
in the air, though.
aggressive.
They're looking for Vetium.
They are going to look for Vetium. Vetium gets
Done.
annihilated. He didn't have Purification available, and he will pay the price. Shadowq uses his yawn to escape. His
They can go on
face
this.
rotates with Mast. Looking for
Ador's
Skeeledon
in mid.
potentially. They know he doesn't have an ultimate. He just used it. Unstable Vortex does not connect. Mask is going to go to the sky, though. Skeeledon jumping to the hammer early. Mast turns his attention to Meerkat, and they don't find the kill.
That was a really late rotation from Adora. You can see him there now. If he had been there, honestly, with Kraken available, they probably could have looked a turn, but it seems Adora thought the team was going to try and back off a lot earlier or thought the kill was there. Either way, though, it's a win for Randozos. They pick off Vetium, and now Mass in a little bit of trouble, or excuse me, Mason in a little bit of
He
trouble.
would've
It's
died
actually
then.
Adora being turned on. There's
Blink
the blink
freeze.
from PolarBearMike.
Mast gets
Kraken!
walled off as well. Kraken is out. Sanctuary used by Mast in response as well.
Not even needed.
And that's one thing I want to talk about. Mast, when he used that ultimate to look for for Skeeledon, he realized the rotation was coming from Adora in mid lane. He didn't want to have to deal with the Kraken and possibly be turned around on, so backed away and just went for the safer option instead. I like Mask's presence of mind. He knows the map. He's
Very
looking at
intelligent player.
it. It looks, at first I was like, why didn't he go for it? But then when you think about it more, he's looking at the map and he's very aware of what will happen if he does do those aggression
I don't even think he knew where Adora was. Adora had just disappeared off the map. He didn't have the ward coverage at the time. They do now. And he was just like, I'm not sure why take this overt risk. Maybe we could find a kill on one of these other players. For now, though, 2-1 in kills.
And if he would have died then, that would have been a goal for you, because Vetium just died in that engagement too. Yes, they would have found Skeeledon, but they could have still easily lost a goal Fury after that. Right, Hoppy's been contested by Masked and Skeeledon, I should say. And
Nice
it's
steal.
going to go...
I think he stole that. He stole
no,
one
he
of
did
them?
not.
Ah, it was close.
You know how I know?
It was the souls.
Yeah, the souls.
From
Mask
Thanatos.
showing the way.
Speaking of that, Skeeledon a little bit of trouble. He's going to be Mez. No hammer available. He used it on the camps. One more second. Rooted in place. There it is. Almost
space
died.
inside,
They
maybe?
almost paid
Mace?
for trying to steal away those camps.
Is Mace going to go for a cheeky snipe?
Mace
They're
is,
looking to
Mace
try
is
and
going for a
find it.
cheeky snipe. He's going to go for it.
Oh, he's going to steal the
Mace
back.
is looking for
No,
it.
he's stealing the back camps right now.
They're pinging him. Look, they're pinging him. Ah, okay.
Oh.
They pinged
You got
him.
way
You
too
saw that.
excited.
I saw the pings. They're saying, Mace, go for it. Mace like, nah, man, I'm just going to get the mid camps.
Way too excited. PolarBearMike in mid lane, level 7 right now, falling a little bit behind after that original start, really, more than anything else.
Only 800 damage onto Aduro so far. 2 Krakens, one completely off the mark, the other
On the mark.
ineffective. And that's the thing. Denial's doing a very good job of forcing Aduro back into zone because Aduro doesn't have a portal to keep him safe. He needs to make sure that it's all around the movement speed. And he's really worried about Shadowq in that blink.
I'd say what they're worried about Randozos right now is worried about their red buff. PolarBearMike going to get a freeze off into Mask and put the pressure onto him. Mask does
BBM's in
not
trouble.
have any sort of pressure. Oh wow, Mask gets the ult off of PolarBearMike. Kraken comes down in response. Mask will trade out to Skeeledon in the end, who took to the sky. Another rotation from the Hunters is going to disengage. For now, the red buff is now being started. But maybe Denial will look for a little bit more. No, they'll return
I like
to
what
mid.
Skeeledon did there. He knew that Mask's ult, the timing was going to end sooner. There's no point to coming crashing down because you're only going to get stunned by the Thanatos. Wait till Mask kills PolarBearMike. He was as dead as he was dead anyway. There was no way he was going to save him. That way he could find the turnaround of Mask and a good 1-for-1, especially locking down the Thanatos. PolarBearMike, he's got 2 deaths. I wouldn't say it's a lost cause, but he's not coming back anytime soon. Meerkat just barely getting off that rewind, but Vetium still wants to fight. Nice jump, and Vetium could find the ricochet here.
If you can find the ricochet, this will be big. No, he does not find it. Vetium immediately going to try and back, but Shadowq, Macetodaface coming means that Meerkat should be aware something could still be up. Vetium has nothing else available. Portal used by Shadowq to try and close the gap. Nice little ideas between Mace and Shadowq linking up with these portals.
I always love seeing the Janus plays that aren't just, I'm going to spam unstable vortex with max cooldown and just do a bunch of damage. Use it for your team to get in and out. Shadowq in a little bit of trouble. Tries to yawn, but can't get it off. Trapped in the whirlpool. Super slow. There's the portal, though, and Shadowq will be able to walk out unless Skeeledon can find the double tap. No, it's Berserker's Barrage. Shadowq. Epic uppercuts him into the sky. It's Skeeledon.
Oh, he hit his Siphon Unstable Vortex at the same time. That was disgusting.
The Janus Thanatos burst combo is ridiculous.
Oh, no, backside. Look at this. SkeeryD made a rotation from solo lane. Gonna get yelled by Shadowq. Vetium's gonna come in, force the ultimate away from SkeeryD, who's now gonna run. Mass is coming around the side to cut off the angle.
No one's there to help him.
He's gonna get scythed. He's gonna get silenced. Pressure from the team. Mass is in the sky.
Don't try and
help
him. He's as good as dead.
No, the wall will save the day. PolarBearMike to the rescue. SkeeryD with a great rotation. He's gonna lose a tier 1 tower potentially for it, though.
SkeeryD just out of the execute range.
His call was great.
That was like 5 to 10%. And SkeeryD so far playing very well. Thor gonna take to the sky. Macetodaface, low mana, doesn't matter.
Skeeledon
off the mark. Double tap.
Hit the double tap though, but immediately eats a scythe, so that trade does not.
Honestly, that scythe's hitting harder than double tap right now.
It really is.
Warrior Tabi, Jotuns too.
And before SkeeryD rotated, I was about to say the solo lanes haven't really been involved just yet, but it's all about the junglers. All the kills are on the junglers right now. And as the game goes on, I'm really feeling the advantage for Thor just because of how he'll play out.
I mean, both of their roles kind of change, both Thanatos and Thor, where they go from these kind of like, dive in, I'm going to kill you in an instant assassins, to building a couple tank items, and I'm just going to initiate and disrupt the fight assassins. Honestly, Mass, the execute, is still good late game if the rest of Denial can find these targets low.
Support versus support in the jungle. Freeze comes out, a little bit of poke damage. Shadowq's not going to cry too much about that though, as he's just going to wait. But look at this, a rotation from Meerkat. He's going to put some pressure on Shadow, who ults once again. And now PolarBearMike's in trouble. The ricochet connects with him. And there's the Suns on his head too. PolarBearMike will fall down to Vetium through space and time from Mace.
Mask is going to take it.
Mask going to take it.
He's
looking
for
the pick on Adaro. Oh, deleted.
Skeeledon's going to fall as well to Macetodaface. Meerkat, he's rooted in place. His ultimate's available, but, I mean, he's been in the same place for 8 seconds. He's not going very far.
Oh, he went far enough.
There it is.
Vetium's going to go even further. Ricochet connects. The portal is going to be down, but it's not going to connect on Sable. Vortex will, however. Macetodaface cleans up Meerkat as well.
4 dead. Honestly, I'm putting basically the entire fight on Mask. It actually starts off with Randozos trying to pick off Shadowq. Mast actually finds a Death Scythe and half-lifes Aduro in the backline. Aduro then can't get into the fight. He's forced out. He's trying to get in, but he's so scared of Mask just because of the presence Mask has right now with these Death Scythes swinging so hard. And then when he finally goes in, Mask chases him out immediately, and then it's a 3v4. It's a bad fight for Randozos at the Gold Fury. Mask able to pick up a couple big kills.
The talking point is the supports are the ones that are getting aggressed on every single time before the rest of the fight happens.
I mean, this... Is he going to dive this? Benji actually going to try. He has meditation.
There's
the knockup. And there is the umbrella.
You make a rotation, you don't make it pay for yourself. Benji gets an advantage because they've already got a Gold Fury to the name as well. The experience advantage is now Benji's too, and Vamana is starting to hit that final form.
He also had the tier 2 of what I expect to be Jotuns. So getting that extra penetration and power, a rough matchup for SkeeryD, who already is going to have his bludgeon knocked up.
Both solo lanes with the meditation as well, now picked up as this time. I'm not sure if SkeeryD had it that
I don't think he did.
If he did, he would have used it.
I don't know.
He got knocked up, so he wouldn't have been able to.
Maybe. Sunder for Mast, as you could see the observer highlight that. That's interesting. He's just looking for like super. I don't know. Can we cover this again?
He's got 3 targets, right? He's got Thor, he's got Poseidon, and he's got Chronos. If he can land the Sunder and a Scythe combo,
I guess it's the like the damage isn't that much even late game. It's decent, but I think it's more about the protection debuff. 25% in addition to the penetration that Thanatos already has naturally. We saw Death Scythe without the Sunder swinging. Like he might be able to close to one-shot Aduro.
Keep an eye on it, because if it is, Reddit will complain. And then we're going to see SkeeryD on the right side now be aggressed on by Shadowq and Macetodaface. Turn it back around. Mass in the jungle though. He just two-shot him!
It was the Sunder! Death Scythe! I told you, man!
You just called it. And now on the right side, SkeeryD has to jump away. Mass makes the rotation as well, but they're not going to find it. 8-3 is the scoreline
To be fair, I think you auto and silence there as well. But
he was about half health already.
I think it was like auto, silence, Sunder. Yeah, the Sunder. The auto-silent Sunder, Death Scythe, 100 to 0.
Tier 1 tower fall on the right-hand side as well for Denial. Now, let's check with the Golden Experience, and you'll see everything is now in Denial's favor. They've just gone on this upswing since around 11 minutes in. It's just all been in their favor. That one fight around the Gold Fury, and they're capitalizing it well.
And some big leads on some important characters, most notably.
Vamana.
The solo laner, 3 levels, as well as what looks to be 1,500 gold. In the jungle, it's 1,000. In the mid lane, it is 1,000 as well. And Aduro, only 2 items where you can see Macetodaface already working on his third. He's also got the Doom Orb, whereas Aduro has been forced to go into the Chronos pendant, which means the damage is not even close.
He's got the regen, but he's not got as much damage as a Doom Orb full stack.
I have not seen... honestly, Aduro's damage isn't low compared to Macetodaface's, but it looks like Randozos is going to try and fight this.
Freeze, Mask in trouble, Kraken connects, and he is deleted. Mask overstayed his welcome. Walls are going to pin Macetodaface in the corner, but Skeeledon doesn't have much more to follow up.
Right-hand side, Skeeledon getting dove. His ultimate's available. He's going to use it, there's Big Baby. Benji elects better than to chase it, as you can see the rotation from mid lane.
He did get meditation out of Skeeledon as well, so that's going to be on cooldown this time round as well. As they rotate into the jungle, we can see Macetodaface picked up Skeeledon as well.
And look at this, Meerkat, he's made his rotation as well. In the meantime, Vetium's just going to split push by himself. Skeeledon is going to be forced to come over to this left lane, and by then Vetium's already going to have backed, and it's just kind of denial. They're running Randozos in circles. Randozos needs to farm, but they're being forced away from their lanes. Look at all the free farm on the map right now, and they can't even secure it, and when they do, it's split between 3-4 people.
3-4 people indeed. Red buff going to be taken down by Randozos, now given over to Aduro in that mid lane for the Krakens. Once again, he did pick up a kill finally on Masked in the jungle, who he actually had his Sanctuary available, but he wasn't able to use it because of the freeze from PolarBearMike.
He doesn't have any purification. That's something to note. We talked about the ability to one-shot with Sunder, but it might be better to have purification in these situations, not only against a Ymir, but Skeeledon has a stun as well. Meerkat has a stun. PolarBearMike, there's so many stuns, and
look
not
at
having
Benji.
those beats
Benji's in the jungle right now, pressuring is in mid lane. There's pressure from Shadowq going deep, forcing purification on Aduro. That's on cooldown now.
Range.
Shadowq has aggro, gets Kraken, execute on the back from Masto, deletes Skeeledon from the fight. Master's in trouble now, going to take a lot of poke pressure from Meerkat, but the team is here to support, and immediately Randozos disengage.
Shadowq, low health once again, slippery as ever. Still only a single death between both games. The player who builds basically no health for 15 minutes somehow managed to survive with all this disrupt, and it looks like Denial don't really want to try and force this, just trying to find some poke on a couple players. Maybe they can look for a kill. Masked coming fresh off of healing himself up. And 4 members strong is Denial in the mid lane.
Still surprised solo lanes haven't left their lane yet. I mean, there's pressure in the
they're
mid lane.
farming.
The tower's already down, but they're both like, nope, we're going to stay here till we're 20.
I mean, Benji, once he's 20, he should be rotating. Speaking of rotating, there's going to be a teleport in from Thor off his death, but look at this. Masked in the jungle going to be cutting off Skeeledon, and Vamana's coming under them.
Will Vamana be able to make an impact? Shadowq is under pressure. He's baiting very, very hard here. They can put him in a lot of pressure. Purification early from Shadowq. Sorry, from Skeeledon to stop the pressure, and it's going to be Shadowq falling down to him. Master's in the skylo looking for a dunk. It's on Skeeledon. Not enough damage though after the scythe.
Janus could be in trouble. There comes Skeeledon down. Berserker's brought silenced out. Skeeledon still able to pick up the kill, but Skeeledon will fall in return. Benji raining through the back line of Randozos right now. Skeeledon going to be able to get out. Meerkat's going to rewind, but he's going to rewind right into 2.
Vetium going to try and put the damage on with the mark of the crow. Jumps in as well. Doesn't find a ricochet just yet. PolarBearMike zones with the freeze and the wall. Randozos escape.
That went so much better for Randozos than I thought it would. 2 for 2 trade.
Skeeledon's back.
It's going to be Benji slowed out. He will have the longest dash in the game as Vamana, so going to be able to escape for now unless PolarBearMike can find a wall. Blink not available, and Benji's going to be able to walk out of this one. He's a level 19 baby. Could
have been a possibility for a Gold Fury attempt from Randozos there, but with Shadowq back online, he's highly doubtful now. 2 members able to defend. Left Harpies do fall down as well. 12-6 is the scoreline right now. We're about 6,000 gold in the lead for Denial. But Randozos are holding right now. They're holding.
They're doing their best. Then a lot of that comes down to Denial, a little bit of miscommunication, but also a lot of disrupt from Skeeledon in that last fight. So what we actually saw was Shadowq knowing that his ultimate was up on Kumbhakarna. No sleepy time is up. He runs in, basically suiciding. He's trying to kill himself because then he goes, and what happens is Randozos is forced to stand still and try and auto-attack if they want to kill him. And at the same time, they also waste a lot of abilities to knock him into sleepy time to begin with. However, Scary D actually successfully zones out 3 members of Denial in the back line, and Skeeledon and Aduro are able to take out Shadowq, so his bait kind of worked against them once Scary D was able to completely knock off the rest of the team.
One thing I want to mention as well, Meerkat here, he's not that high on the damage charts right now, but he's also picked up a winged blade here, and that's one of the reasons why his damage isn't as high. Yes, it gives him some attack speed.
This is a fantastic item for Chronos. There's a ton of slows on Denial. I love the pickup, but it looks like Denial, they're done with the fun and games. They have a 6K gold lead, tons of experience, and they're going to take this Gold Fury uncontested. And Randozos, who have been holding out, it's going to be a lot harder once they can back and spin that.
They'll get a tier 1 tower on the right-hand side, but now immediately Denial are going to try and answer back with a tier 1 tower. Potentially mid as they all group up here. Benji in the jungle doing his blue buff
PolarBearMike
here.
actually in the right lane, but no one's around him.
Well, he's going to back now, and Massey's probably going to catch that one.
Skeeledon actually teleports to the right lane as Scary D backs off.
No, Skeeledon was there to try
to
take the tier
he was
1
on
tower
top of the icons were on top. I didn't see
he
him.
didn't teleport in. Skeeledon, he's actually going to have to
nice read.
He saw Mast in the air then, that was clear. Uses
Lincoln by Shadow. Ooh!
Doesn't get you on down.
Tried to blink Mez. The hammer not in time. Shadowq, nice attempt, but Skeeledon a little bit too quick on the draw there, and now they're going to take away the piggies.
Mike going to walk into
He's in trouble. He's
danger.
dead.
That's going to get body
How does he walk out of this one?
He's going to ult because he realizes he's not going to get away. Mast picks up the kill there as well. Immediately, Denial can turn to the tier 2 tower and right because there's nobody here other than Skeeledon to defend Scary D and Aduro in mid lane. And
Randozos actually didn't know what they wanted to do, whether they wanted to try and defend or go forward, because both Scary D and Aduro were kind of just standing there in the tower. They could have split pushed that tier 1. Instead, they just kind of sit there.
They could have got tower mid lane. They could have. You can still see Meerkat pushing up the left-hand side here, looking for a tier 1 there as well. Teleport in, on the line from Benji, I believe. Yeah, he's going to be there to defend. So in the end, Randozos don't find anything other than a death and a loss of a tier 2 tower.
Denial, though, up about 9,000 gold right now. Fire Giant probably going to be the next on their docket. 8,500, 11,000 experience is the big one for me. Mace to the face, even. Master, though, has a 3-level lead. Benji has a couple level lead. Vetium, even. Shadowq, that's actually not as bad as I thought. I think a lot of that experience lead is on Benji, and he hit 20 like 3 to 4 minutes ago, so Scary D's kind of been recouping that.
Randozos just going to work this season on getting their mid to late game better. They seem to drop off every single time when it hits that stage. Early on, very, very even between the teams. They can go toe-to-toe well, and their mid-game isn't bad, but they
dropped Gars. They're not coming in expecting to win a ton of games.
I agree.
They're coming in trying to build off, and that's what PolarBearMike's been about, is making a team that can win either by the end of the split or by fall.
They have the ability to win. That's the best thing here. They've got a ground to actually work on. They've got a base that they can continue to motivate themselves and get better. Skeeledon gets cut out by Benji there, forced to ult away.
Mace to the face. I think he's going to ult
this. Not around.
Ooh, actually, nice TP from Skeeledon. Kind of with the reads. 4-4-2. He's out.
Mace would have read that as well, actually. If we would have carried on running, Mace would have read it. Scary D going to try and pressure the tier 1 tower in mid lane, but 2 here to defend. It's going to be a bit of an issue to try and bring down Scary D. Honestly, he's tanky enough at level 18 here. Is there a rotation from the team? Because they're using that yawn all the way. That was nice from the team.
Ultimate from Scary D. He's going to back off and
support ult for Bellona ult. I'm okay with that.
Randozos right now are trying to split the map as best as they can with their double TPs from Thor and Scary D. But I mean, Denial are going to try and lock him down. Meerkat, he's going to rewind. Actually, in an awkward spot, could just look to take out the tier 1. He's going to take out the tier 1. You're good as dead. Just take out the tier 1.
No, he's running.
He should have just taken out the tier 1.
He realized he made an error. 14-6 is the score.
Benji being chased out on the bottom. Oh, okay, he's fine. He's got ultimate. And meditation. How are you going to kill
little
that?
thing there as well. PolarBearMike's blink was on point. The moment Shadowq turned up, he blinked in as well, otherwise the yawn would have gone through. Denial going to try and use this man advantage now in the 40 seconds of that to pressure the tier 1 tower as Benji split pushes left. Randozos have the jungler over in the right-hand lane.
Honestly, Randozos did a pretty good job of splitting the map in the last couple minutes to try and get towers. Meerkat, if he was able to successfully take out the tier 1, I mean, he was good at it anyway, but still, they were able to find 2 towers just by forcing Denial to run around and try and kill them. Denial still, though, with nearly a 10,000 gold lead. Fire Giant, it's up. Gold Theory going to be spawning here in about a minute, and I think it's going to be a waiting game because Denial not able to really lock down any of these kills the past couple of minutes. They kind of just, like I said, been run around in circles. They're going to wait and just extend their lead, I think, off a big objective.
Big objectives indeed. Fire Giant is available, as you said. No wall coverage right there right now. Adoro going to swing around there. No, maybe not. Scary D's going to swing around there instead as Adoro just hovering mid lane. There's a bit to farm, I guess. But
yeah, Rod, though, just finished by Mace to the face. Skeeledon looking for a gank on Vetium. Vetium has no support unless Benji teleports in. Nice Sanctuary going to mean a lot of that damage. Sun's on top. He could turn this 2v1. The triple bounce. No, it's just a double Vetium still taking out Skeeledon, and Macetodaface's rotation. It's coming through. Blink from Shadowq, only a matter
Wave
of
to
time.
the fans, PolarBearMike, because you're going to wave at them in base right now after that. That was disgusting. Vetium 2v1.
When you're down 10,000, you got to try and make plays.
I
but
agree with him.
It was Vetium who honestly turned around that 1v2 phenomenal. Mass takes to the sky. It's a Dural left alone. No Sanctuary. I mean, he's
going to get cracked off, but immediately Sanctuary from Mass. He's still in his whirlpool. Benji will get credit for the kill in the end. Two members of Randos on the right-hand side. Not sure what they're up to.
They don't have a minion wave. They're not going to be able to
They're
take
back
this.
farming. I guess it was just back farming more than anything else. Tier 2 towers are going to fall on the left. Instead,
really the Phoenix,
they now
though.
can see this, so they're going to look for the Phoenix on the left-hand
I
side.
mean, 4v2 would have been hard to defend this anyway. Both have ultimate. Maybe they could have tried, but I mean, they don't have minion waves in the mid lane. They are going to get a tier 2 on right. Weren't able to recognize that the red buff.
No, they may
was
not.
up.
Benji's going to teleport back in there now and try and defend this one.
Benji has everything. He
Meerkat
could
is with them.
no ultimate.
I mean, the team has through space and time available potentially as well. Macy's actually got that on cooldown right now. Otherwise, they could have turned that one around and found kills there.
Honestly, the 10k gold lead hasn't been extended. Even with that Phoenix down, Randozos finding that tier 2, and Gold Fury going to be up. Skeeledon and PolarBearMike
wants that
chasing
tower,
Mass
man.
through the jungle. He
Mike
wants
just
it
wants
so
that tower.
bad.
Just give
They
me the
both
tier
want
one.
it. Look at this, though. Fire Giant being circled by Denial. Scaredy caught out. He's going to be slowed. Mez by Shadowq, and it looks like they're just going to try and burst him. His ultimate is up. Eagles rally over the top, but Benji's going to keep up the chase. Now it's on to Meerkat.
Meerkat has to use the rewind to reset Scaredy, still being chased by Vetium, looking for a ricochet if he can find it. But meanwhile, Meerkat is in a world of pain here. Good news, though, they get the tier 1 tower left.
They did get the tier 1 left, finally. Vetium credited with that kill for 1 and 8 on the Hunter player.
And now the Fire Giant can begin. Adoro is here, though, has Kraken available.
I mean,
Drops a
Mace
ward
is just going to one-shot
for
him.
a little bit of vision.
Skeely's in the air, but the Fire Giant isn't even close to low. Benji going to get Kraken. There's Meditation. His ultimate is up, and he's going to chase out Aduro, who does not have the damage. Vetium takes out Skeeledon as he lands on the Fire Giant, but PolarBearMike is back. Fire Giant still not even close to low.
Benji played that so well. Benji got hit by a Kraken, immediately realized he was under pressure, meditated, popped ultimate, and he was back to a decent health pool, and Aduro had to run away. Fire Giant goes the way of Denial, and with that, their possible 2-0 first victories of the Pro League.
Surrender vote was started for Randozos. Not sure if this one's going to go through. 6-19 in kills, 25 minutes in. Game 1 was very close. Game 2, it's been Denial from the start.
Go to the graphs and you'll see exactly what happened here. The experiencing gold immediately at around 11 minutes was when the game just turned all in Denial's favor.
That
Even
was
all the way.
that was the 4-for-0 in Gold Theory.
That was a 4-for-0 gold Fury.
That was Mass half-lifing Aduro with a Death Scythe,
And
then not allowing Aduro into the fight, then kills him with another Death Scythe and an auto.
And while he's doing that, Shadowq surviving in the 2v1. He gets turned on his head. Vetium rotates in, picks up the kills there as well.
Shadowq has been a pain for Randozos. The
Really
disruption on Kuba too much, and now Denial, they're going to be diving into this Phoenix here. Macetodaface going to find the last hit on Skeeledon. 5 members strong is Denial. It's the middle
the
Phoenix,
Fire
that's
Giant.
the focus.
Who can try and defend this one? Well, none of them want to step forward on Randozo, so the Phoenix will fall. Right-hand side attention from Denial will be turned. The wall from PolarBearMike is used now before anyone even turns up here, which means it'll be on
Cheeky.
cooldown. As soon as
Did
the
he hit
tanks-
PBM too? Oh, he hit PolarBearMike too.
He did.
Vetium, man, he's making a rise. Last year, weren't sure how good he was going to be, and at the end of Season 2, one of the best hunters in the world. Season 3, he's looking real strong. Denial diving into this last Phoenix Aduro. Kraken is down. All attention turned on to him, but it's going to switch off, and Denial going to take off the last Phoenix. One more hit. Suns are rained down on top, looking for Meerkat. He's going to rewind, but he's going to rewind back in place. Benji now going to turn all his attention on to Meerkat, and Chronos is going to fall. It's just now the Titan standing.
Just another Titan stands as Skeeledon takes to the sky, looking to defend against 5 members still. Gets some good damage off, but he's not going to find a killer, is he? Double tap, doesn't have any follow-up from that one in the end. And the execute from Mass will actually pick up PolarBearMike there. Skeeledon falls to Scary D, going to try and chase the army down.
All right, they're chasing kills now. They want Scary D. Vetium's going to
Stat
fall.
lines, man.
It's going to be Scary D as the last hit. No one on Randozo spawning for 20 seconds.
A good performance from Denial, though. We're expected to do pretty well this season with their new lineup. They put on a decent performance here against Randozos for their new roster coming together. And they will also join Eager at top of the SPL after just 2 sets.
Yep, they're tied for number 1.
Tied for number 1 already. What a great start
Always
to the
got to
season
feel
for
that,
them.
right?
I mean,
Week 1
we're
tied for number 1.
We're
Game
number 1. The best news is there's still another set to come, and then another team might join them at number 1.
Yeah, Luminosity versus Enemy going to be the last set, but Let's review this game a little bit. First Blood coming out early. I believe it was Mask finding that early rotation onto the dual lane, and Mask was kind of the man of the game. 10-2 and something in the end, and it was just kind of like the pick on PBM show at the beginning.
This came on PBM's. PBM is one of the issues with this is Ymir is very slow. He's very easy to be picked off early. PolarBearMike wakes a rotation to mid lane, looks for a blink initiation, doesn't find it. They know he's got no relics available to defend himself, so they go aggressive on the
And I think that was the key for the Thanatos. It was last picked in against the Ymir, and that's one of the weaknesses of these supports with no mobility is they kind of get stuck in place.
I mean, Master's had a good game.
High damage junglers, especially early, I mean, the Thanatos is going to rip through you, and this is, okay, I want to see. Silence, Sunder, Auto.
I feel sick. I feel sick after that one. That was not nice. That was not pretty to watch.
Aduro felt real sick. He's like, guys, I couldn't even do anything. It's not my fault. This is going to be a highlight reel for Mask. Player of the game, clearly. I believe it was 10-2 and 8 we saw at the end there. And Mask just honestly controlled the pace of this game front to back. Made himself known in every single lane and continuously put pressure on PolarBearMike and that Ymir who got behind early, and he couldn't really recover.
And that's all they had to do was just keep the pressure up for the whole game. Let's have a look at that little play from Vetium, though, because PolarBearMike was waving in excitement towards the end of that one.
He knew. He's like, all right, boys, we got outplayed.
All right, let's have a little look at it. We've seen a couple of these with the Hou-Yi antics.
He gets dove. Nice Sanctuary. Actually immunes everything. Sun's on top of 2. Finds the double tap onto Skeeledon.
That was a single tap, that.
That was a single tap?
There was no double there, just a single.
Oh, I think the second was the auto with the mark. And then it looked like it was a double tap, and did so much damage.
I'm walking away with the troubles in my life. But guess what? We do have Vetium on the line with us as well to join us and tell us all about how himself and Denial are doing. How you doing, Vetium?
Hi, I'm good.
Great performance today. First up, how does it feel to, get off to the Pro League to a good start?
Feels pretty good. I mean, this isn't one of our more satisfying wins. I mean, I feel like there are other teams that we can beat that I would like to prove that we can, I guess. So I'm excited to see what else we can do.
Let's talk expectations, because every team enters with different expectations. Whether you guys went to World, a lot of the core of your team. Do you consider yourself a top 2, top 3 team? Is your expectation to make DreamHack, or is it to kind of work on this roster and build them up by the end?
I have high hopes for DreamHack. I don't have any expectations at this point.
Okay, and next up as well, you're going to be facing off against Allegiance, I believe, as your next opposition. Are you worried about facing off against Allegiance at all? Do you think they're going to be a tough opposition for you?
I think we have a big advantage versus Allegiance. Even on the old enemy roster, we had a pretty good scrim record against Allegiance, and that, in my opinion, wasn't the most productive team environment. So I honestly think we have a very, very strong matchup versus them.
Medusa, game 1. We didn't see too much of her last season. Is this something you're looking at for season 3, or is this kind of just your own flavor pick into that matchup?
I feel like Medusa does pretty well into Hou-Yi, and that was pretty much all the logic in picking it game 1. It was just the fact that she can contest push and use a good boxing matchup.
I was going to say, just to elaborate that, is it because of the early push that just put some pressure on the lane? Is that why you favor her against Hou-Yi?
Sort of, yeah. That's one of the parts to it.
He doesn't want to say. You could hear. He doesn't want to say the other reason. He doesn't want to give it away. He's like, there's something I know that no one else knows.
No, she has good push, and she can box well, and she's fun. So
she's fun. That was
the whole package, man.
All right,
she's fun. Thank you so much for joining us.
She's a snake.
Do you have any shout-outs you want to give before we let you go?
Shout-outs to Shadowq for having a nice haircut, and Mace, both great people. The Grabowski cuts. Shout out to Denial for sponsoring us, and shout out to G Fuel, even though you don't sponsor me. I want you to. So
good call.
Yeah,
I like that one. Thanks so much for joining us, Vetium. Good luck in the rest of the Pro League. A nice 2-0 win for Denial boys today. Put some joint top with Eagle already. And let's have a look at the schedule right now, because we've still got a fantastic matchup to show you.
Speaking of Vetium, the core of enemy after their second place finish at Worlds has been gutted once again. Pain Deviant bringing 3 new rookies in, and we know this story from the beginning of the fall split. Okay, but it took a long time to ramp up. You got 3 rookies, and they're going up against Luminosity.
Well, they're going up against the ex-Cloud9 roster / TSM roster that have now amalgamated into one roster.
If you're looking at a super team, like if you want to consider one team, a super team, a mashup,
This year, for sure.
it's Luminosity. Snoopy obviously switching roles to solo, but Bush and Anister, one of the deadliest combos, I think, for that mid-jungle synergy.
I don't see how Luminosity are not going to do very, very well here anyway. F. and Allied will be up next with that once we've taken this very short break.